Guys, Mikhail Tal was a troll. Just have a look. The year was 1959 and Bobby Fischer was playing with white against Mikhail Tal. This game was played as a part of Challenger tournament, and the winner of this event should have played Mikhail Botvinnik, who was world chess champion at the time. Bobby Fischer started the game with e4 as you saw, and the reason why Mikhail Tal was trolling and he started with c6 and then continued with c5 is because Bobby Fischer stated that Soviet players were scared of playing c5, and that is the reason why Soviet players always prepare to play against him with c6 or Caro-Kann defense. And as you saw, Mikhail Tal was not scared of Bobby at all. He started with c6 as Bobby was expecting this, and then he continued with c5 and he said to Bobby, the game is on, I am not scared of you. And let's see how this game continued. Fischer continued the game with knight f3 and Tal replied with d6. Game continued with d4, c takes on d4 and knight takes on d4 for Fischer, knight f6 for Tal and knight c3 for Bobby Fischer. Tal now played a6, which is open Sicilian and neither variation of open Sicilian. Bobby continued with bishop c4. His idea is to aim at this f7 pawn. Game continued with e6 to stop any kind of threats on this pawn. Bobby moves his bishop to b3 because he doesn't want to waste move, because usual idea in this position is playing b5 for black, which happened in the game. And Fischer now immediately strikes in the center with f4. He wants to just grab as much space as he can, but Fischer had another option here. I will now show you. So after b5, Fischer could have castled here, then the game would continue with bishop e7, rook e1 for Fischer, bishop b7, usual idea, and right now there is a tactical sacrifice for Fischer with bishop takes on e6. F takes on e6, and after knight takes on e6, this queen is under attack and this pawn will fall as well. So after queen moving to d7, knight will capture this with check. Yes, black has a piece, but white has 3 pawns for that piece and he is doing better in this position. So just wanted to show you this line that this was available for Fischer. But after f4, Tal continues the game aggressively with b4. And Fischer plays knight a4 and Tal immediately continues with knight takes on e4. Now this is not the best line for black. Although this pawn was undefended, the best move here for black was bishop b7, because this can turn out to be a little bit risky. But after knight takes on e4, game continues with castle for white, and black plays g6. He wants to prevent f5 and he also wants to fianchetto his dark squared bishop here, but Fischer doesn't care about this. He continues with his idea and he plays f5 here. Tal continues with g takes on f5. Of course, you don't want to open your e-file, and this is the better way to take this pawn, after which game continued with knight takes on f5. And in this position, Tal decided to play rook g8. As you can see, this knight is free for taking. And you might think, what was the reason Tal didn't want to take this knight? I will show you right now. So after knight takes on f5, if white decided to take this knight, then the game would continue with queen d5. And right now you have a double threat. Firstly, you have a checkmate threat on f7, and this rook is attacked. The best move for black to defend this threat is to play rook a7. Right now this threat is protected, and now white has a really strong move, which is queen d4, and this is a double attack and one of these rooks will fall. So that was the reason why taking this knight was not a good option at all. And after knight f5, rook g8 was played for Tal. He wants to pressure this g2 square, and Fischer again stuns everyone with his brilliancy and he plays bishop d5. So right now this is free for taking and this bishop is also free for taking. Tal decided to reply with rook a7. And now you might be wondering, what's the reason that Tal didn't want to take this bishop? Well, I will show you. So after bishop d5, if e takes on d5 was played, game continues with queen takes on d5, and right now the best option for black is bishop takes on f5, but white doesn't want to take this rook, but he continues with rook takes on f5. And right now you have a checkmate threat here, and this rook is still hanging here. So the best move for black is rook a7. After this move, Bobby would take this knight, queen takes on e4 check. The best move is rook e7, queen takes on b4, rook e2 with the idea to pressure this pawn. Best move for Fischer in this position would be rook f2, and after rook takes on f2, Bobby would play queen e1 check. And after queen e7, the game would continue with queen takes on f2, and white is a pawn up and he has a better initiative, so that was the reason why taking this bishop was not a good option as well. And after rook a7, Bobby continued with bishop takes on e4, and after that Tal decided to pick up this knight and he plays e takes on f5. The game continues with bishop takes on f5, and right now black plays rook e7. As you can see, black king is really weak and you want to protect it as much as you can, so that is the reason behind this move. Game continued with bishop takes on c8, queen takes on c8, so trade of bishops, and Bobby now plays bishop f4. Now in this position, the best idea for white was actually after queen takes on c8 is c3. And the reason behind this move is that now after queen c6 for Tal, you can protect this pawn with simple rook f2, and this knight will be defended as well. And by the way, bishop f4 is not a blunder by Bobby Fischer, because from the computer evaluation the position is the same, although Bobby will lose his piece, of course. So game continued with queen c6, and right now there is a checkmate threat. Bobby continues the game with queen f3, and now this knight is vulnerable and will be taken by Tal. Queen takes on a4, and right now Bobby immediately strikes with bishop takes on d6. Right now this rook is under attack, and this king is getting weaker and weaker by the move. That is the reason why Tal played queen c6. He wants to offer a queen trade. Of course Bobby doesn't want this, and he wants to play for the win. He plays bishop takes on b8. Game continued with queen b6 check, king h1, and now Tal recaptures this piece, queen takes on b8, after which game continued with queen c6 check. Although Bobby Fischer had a drawing possibility, and I will now show you how. So after queen takes on b8, Bobby could have continued with rook a goes on e1 and offering the trade of rooks. Of course Tal is unable to take this rook, because that would be a huge blunder. The game would continue with queen takes on f7 check, and after king d8 we will simply take this rook, and we are threatening checkmate on e8, and we are threatening to take this rook as well, so this would be a horrible idea for Tal. Of course this wasn't played. So after rook a on e1, the best play for black would be king d8, after which the game would continue with rook d1 check, king c7 for black, queen f4 for Fischer, king b7, rook d6, you still don't want to trade queens, queen c7 for Tal, queen takes on b4 with check, king c8, rook takes on a6, and after queen b7, Bobby would be forced to trade queens because there is a checkmate threat here, and this rook is hanging as well. So queen takes on b7, king takes on b7, and rook a would go on f6, after which Tal would play rook g7, and this is how the position would end. So you would have 3 pawns for 1 piece, and this is a definitely drawable position. Computer evaluates this position as a slightly better for black, but of course you need to play it out in order to draw. So that was the drawing option Bobby had, but he refused that, and he wanted to play for the win. In his style, queen c6 was played, and game continued with rook d7 for black, after which Fischer played rook a on e1 check, bishop e7 for black, and Fischer continues with the attack with rook takes on f7. Right now this king is forced to take this rook, and game continued with queen e6 check, king f8, and queen takes on d7. So right now things are getting more clearer, and it's much easier for black to play this position. Although his king is in really dangerous position, there is nothing Fischer can really do and checkmate the black king. Game continued with queen d6 for Tal. Tal wants to exchange his queens because it will be much easier to win this game without queens on the board. Of course Fischer is down in material, so he doesn't want to trade queens. He continues the game with queen b7, attacking these 2 pawns. This bishop is also under scope. Game continued with rook g6 for black, and white played c3, after which Tal replied with a5. He doesn't want to allow any passed pawns. The game continued with queen c8 for Fischer, king g7 for black, and Fischer continues maneuvering his queen. He plays queen c4, after which bishop d8 was played for black. Black's idea was to play bishop c7 and to attack this pawn on h2. So the game continued with c takes on b4, a takes on b4, and g3 was played for white. Obviously Fischer doesn't want to allow any sorts of threats on h2 square, and Tal continued the game with queen c6 check and practically forcing a queen trade. Game continued with rook e4, and after that Tal decided to take the queen, rook takes on c4, and rook b6 was played. And it's much easier for Tal to play for the win because the queens are off the board, and right now since we are in endgame, the kings are getting closer to the center of the board. So king g2 for Fischer, king f6 for Tal, king f3, and king e5 was played for Tal, king e3 for Fischer, and now Tal plays bishop g5 with check. King is forced to go back, and black continues with king d5. Right now this rook is under attack. Fischer decided to protect this rook with king d3, and game continues with bishop f6, and right now attacking this white pawn. Fischer now has to make a decision, and he decides to protect this pawn with rook c2. Game continues with bishop e5, maneuvering his bishop. Fischer continues the game with rook e2, because right now you have to leave your rook on the second file to protect this pawn. Tal continues the game with rook f6 with the idea to give check on f3. The game continued with rook c2, and rook f3 for Tal was played. King is forced to go back, and right now rook f7 was played. Fischer continues with king d3. He wants to see if Tal has some other options and some other ideas to win this game. Of course, Tal does have an idea how to win this game, and he plays bishop d4. And the idea behind this move is to simply check the white king if he is careless. Then if he comes to the second rank, you can check him on f2, and you will trade the rooks and you will win the game much easier than with rooks on the board. Of course, Fischer saw that and he wanted to create some passed pawn here, but Tal doesn't allow it and he plays b3. It's much better to keep this king caged, because white will have less options in this position and he will not be able to create any sort of counterplay. Fischer now desperately tries with rook c8. Tal continues with bishop takes on b2. Right now this pawn was undefended. Fischer tries with some checks, rook d8, king c6, and rook b8 was played for Fischer. Right now this pawn is under attack, but Tal plays rook f3 first, king c4. Again this pawn is under attack, but Tal continues with rook c3 check, king b4 was played for Fischer, and Tal finishes the game with beautiful king c7 here, and the game continued with rook b5, the only free square for this rook. And after this move, Tal played bishop a1 with the idea to push this pawn and advance it to a queen, and after a4 and b2, Fischer decided to resign this game because there is no way of stopping this pawn to promote. I will show you what will happen. For example, after king c3, simply we will promote with the discover check, and after b2, if white decides to go something like king a5, we simply play rook c1 and we will promote the queen, or white will be forced to sacrifice his rook for our pawn. And that is the reason why this game is over for Fischer and he resigned it here. And this was all for today's game, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe, because this would mean a lot to me. It helps me grow my channel and I appreciate each and every one of you. Please make sure to leave a comment if you watch this game or if I miss something. I enjoy reading your comments, and we will see each other in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.